Hello again. I hope you're having a good day and that your TOEFL practice is going well. My name is Mr. Hearn, and I am your TOEFL tutor. In this video, I want to talk to you about TOEFL vocabulary words. I've seen a lot of push recently with people selling vocabulary lists and having videos about vocabulary words. And I just want to let you know that it's not as difficult as you might think, or people are making it out to be, that you need to know all of these vocabulary words. Let me ask you a question. What's the difference between an easy vocabulary word and a hard vocabulary word? An easy vocabulary word, you know the definition of it, and a hard one, you don't know. It doesn't matter how common that word is. If you don't know it, you don't know it. Way back in the day, let's say it was around 15 years ago, my students were having difficulty with TOEFL vocabulary words, and I thought, I'm going to help my students by creating a list of vocabulary words from TOEFL tests. So I went through all of the tests I could find. I spent months compiling this huge list of TOEFL vocabulary words and all of their definitions. And you know what I found out? None of those words were on the test we're about to take. So all the time I spent had nothing to do with the test I was about to take. So I did all that study and learning and writing for nada. And I also found out that the words that I thought were challenging words for my students, it turned out that they knew the hard words. It was words like mud, branches, gloomy. Okay, simple words that in English, every baby knows these words, but my students didn't know. Words like foggy. Here's a good word for you. It's imperative. Imperative. Do you know the meaning of this word? Imperative. If you don't know, I'll tell you. It means necessary. And I say necessary like breathing. How necessary is breathing to life? Yeah, right? If you don't think it's important, try stopping it for a minute or two and see how important it really is. Yes, imperative. It is not imperative that you know every vocabulary word in the Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. What's important is you know how to answer vocabulary questions, even if you don't know all the words. It's possible. Well, here's some information you might want to know. In the dictionary, there are over 200,000 words, and they're adding 4,000 new words every year. Which of those words are going to be on the next TOEFL IBT? Exactly. How can you study vocabulary words when you have no idea what words are going to be on the test or whether you know them or not? So trying to study all of those words, I mean, it's good for your personal life. It really isn't going to help you on the TOEFL IBT. So let's go over something that does help. I'm going to show you some vocabulary questions, and I'm going to show you some methods that you can use to improve your abilities to answer vocabulary questions so you can get a higher score. Let's take a look. The questions you're about to see come directly from the book Official TOEFL IBT Tests, Volume 2, 3rd edition by ETS, the people who make the test. When practicing, be sure to use only the newest genuine TOEFL IBT practice tests from ETS. Now here we are in test 1, question 1, and as you can see, it is a vocabulary and context question. We know it's a vocabulary and context question because it has a highlighted word in it, and it ends with the words meaning to. TOEFL IBT vocabulary questions will always be structured in this way. Now, there are 4 different methods for answering TOEFL IBT vocabulary questions. The first way isn't very popular, but it's important to know and use on your TOEFL IBT to get a higher score. The first method is, if you don't know the highlighted word or any of the choices, simply guess and go. That's right. When you don't know, guess and go. In other words, if you don't know the highlighted word or any of the 4 choices, simply guess. Don't even say eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Just pick one and move on. By trying to figure it out and read, you're not going to get the right answer unless you guess right. What you're going to do is waste time, create more anxiety for yourself, and not be able to finish the test. By admitting that you don't know the words and simply guessing and moving on gives you the time that you need to answer other questions that you could have answered if you just had that few extra seconds. All right, let's take a look at the second method for answering TOEFL vocabulary questions. Here it is. Let's say that you do know the highlighted word and you know all of the choices. At this point, all you have to do is eliminate choices that are not synonyms of the highlighted word. You got that? And you probably have this situation from time to time on the TOEFL IBT where you see a word you know all four choices, you know that there are three choices that are not even close, there's only one choice it could be, you pick that choice and you move on. Now, there is something that I want to tell you. I did say when you know the highlighted word and all four choices, eliminate the choices that are not synonyms and pick the one that's left. The reason I say that is psychologically, when we're answering questions, you might pick the one you think is right. However, we're often more sure what's wrong than what's right. So you might pick the word you think is right, but there's a little seed of doubt that's like, I'm not sure. It's like I'm 99% sure that I picked the right word, but that 1% of doubt will cause you to go back and want to look at that question again. Or when you're trying to answer questions, because you have that little bit of doubt and you want to go back, you're not really paying attention to the question you're on. And that starts to snowball because when you have a little bit of doubt of the vocabulary question, and now you have a little bit of doubt for the question that you're answering, and then the next question, you have the doubt for two questions. Stop. That's insanity. It's much better to eliminate what you know is wrong and pick what's left, because that's how you get a higher score on the TOEFL IBT. Now let's take a look at the third method for answering the vocabulary questions. Let's say that you know the highlighted word, but you don't know all of the choices. What do? Okay, so you know the highlighted word, but you only know two of the choices. Look at those two choices, and if they have nothing to do with the highlighted word, eliminate them. If one of them kind of sort of could match the highlighted word, that's probably the best choice, and pick it and move on. Or I would say eliminate the one you don't know, pick the one that's left and move on. But let's say that you know the highlighted word, you know the two choices, and the other two choices you don't know. But the two choices you know, they don't match. What are you going to do? I know you want to get the right answer, but you're stuck between two words you don't know. Stop. Just pick one and move on. You're guessing no matter what. So if you read the passage, it's not going to help you to know those two words you don't know. So don't read. If you know the highlighted word and two choices you know don't work, they don't match the highlighted word, and you have two choices you don't know, just pick one of those choices and move on. Save yourself some time and alleviate anxiety. So with only two choices, you have a 50-50 chance of getting the question right. But I know you want to get a higher score, so let me tell you about a little phenomenon. There's a vocabulary word. It's an experiment that was done years ago in a 50-50 blind test. And what they did was they had two people, and they had to choose between A or B. There was no question. They simply had to choose between A or B. And the first person, whatever they chose, they were given a choice of changing their mind, and they didn't. They always kept their choice the same. The second person, however, would choose A or B, and then they're given the choice to change their answer. And every single time they changed their answer. In other words, if they chose A first, they were given an option to change, and they said, nope, I changed my mind to B. The first person chose A, and they stuck with A, or they chose B and they stuck with B, but the second person always change their mind. We don't know why, but in every single test, the person who was given the option to change their mind, and they did, got a higher score than the person who always kept their choice. We don't know why, but we can use that on the test. You can, as you're practicing, keep track of every question that you have, not just vocabulary questions, but every question you have that you're a blind 50-50 chance. You've eliminated two choices you know are absolutely wrong. You're between two. If you are able to get more right than wrong by guessing, stick with that method. It's working. But if you're always getting more wrong than right, whichever one you think it is, pick the other one, which means you will start getting more right than wrong. It's an experiment that you can do while you're practicing, and believe me, it works. Just by raising your score by 2 questions can help you pass the test, so it's worth experimenting. All right, let's get back to the vocabulary questions, and let's talk about, is it the 4th method? This is where the rubber hits the road and you really have to start doing some work. Let's take a look. Okay, let's say that you don't know the highlighted word, but you know at least one of the choices. This is where we go to the passage and do some reading. The first thing we do is replace the highlighted word with another word like something, some kind of, to do something, or somehow. The reason we replace the highlighted word is to alleviate anxiety. When we're reading and we don't know a word, our brain gets confused, and that confusion leads to anxiety. It's important to note that the highlighted word doesn't matter. Did you hear what I said? The highlighted word doesn't matter. Now, if you know the highlighted word and you know the choices and you can eliminate wrong choices and pick the one that matches the highlighted word, great. But it isn't about the highlighted word. This question is about the clue in the passage and which choice matches the clue in the passage. Let me show you what I mean. Take a look. Here we are again. And let's say that you don't know the highlighted word, but you know at least one of the choices. This is what we do. Ignore the highlighted word. Replace it with another word, such as something, somehow, some kind of, to do something. We're going to use a word that fits into the phrase with the highlighted word. For example, what word fits into this phrase? He somehow argued. We need to know, how did he argue? On the TOEFL IBT, the clue will either be in the sentence that has the highlighted word, or it will be in the related sentence. Related sentence will either be the sentence before or the sentence after. In this case, there is no sentence after. So let's go to the sentence before and look for the clue, that part that is saying kind of the same thing in a different way. What is this sentence talking about? The sentence begins here. But belief in this ice-free corridor began to crumble when paleoecologists, this guy demonstrated that some of the most important radiocarbon dates used to support the existence of an ice-free corridor were incorrect. I don't know about you, but that sentence is intimidating. It takes too long to read, and there's words there that I don't know. And you know what? We don't need to know them. Let me show you a simpler way to read this sentence so that you get the information you need, and you can avoid those crazy vocabulary words. Oh, by the way, what I'm about to teach you is in the sentence simplification video, so if you haven't seen that, make sure you do. Let's take a look at how do we simplify this sentence to read less, understand more, and get a higher score. Take a look. Here we are back at our sentence, and our sentence says, but belief in this corridor began to crumble when this guy demonstrated that some dates were incorrect. The rest of the sentence doesn't matter. We just need to know the main idea, and we don't even need to know the full main idea because our phrase with the highlighted word tells us exactly what part of this sentence is important. Our little phrase begins, he. Who is he in the sentence we just read? Glenn McDonald. And what did Glenn McDonald do? He demonstrated, which is the same word as argued. So now we know we have the related information we need to eliminate wrong choices. Let's take a look at A. Is there anything in this sentence that said that Glenn McDonald demonstrated aggressively? Well, it just says that the belief in this corridor began to crumble when this guy demonstrated some of the dates were incorrect. There's nothing to say that he argued aggressively, so A is out. What about inflexibly? Is there anything in the sentence that says that he was inflexible? No. And so B is out. Now, convincingly is a big word, and you might not know what convincingly means. So if you don't know, just leave it and move on. Just say, I don't know, and move on. The last one says carefully. Is there anything in this sentence that said that this guy, Glenn McDonald, was careful? There's nothing to say like meticulous or that he was careful anyway. So D is out. And if you don't know what convincingly means, it doesn't matter because it's the only choice left. And you can pick it with confidence because you have to eliminate choices that don't match what's in the passage and choose the one that's left. All right, so this is the way that you answer TOEFL IBT vocabulary questions, even if you don't know all of the words. You see, it isn't about the highlighted word at all. That word doesn't matter. You're going to eliminate that word and replace it with something else. Now, of course, if you know the highlighted word and you know all of your choices, you can simply take the highlighted word and eliminate wrong choices, pick the one that's left, and move on. But if you don't know the highlighted word, use this method that I'm teaching you. If you don't know the highlighted word and you know at least one of the choices, use the phrase that the highlighted word is in to find that similar phrase in the related sentence. Use that similar phrase to eliminate wrong choices. Remember that you're going to say possible, not possible, I'm not sure. Anything that doesn't match the clue is not possible. Anything that kind of sort of could be is possible. Anything that you don't know, just skip it. Eliminate those choices that you can immediately or very quickly eliminate because you know they're wrong. Pick the one that's left and move on. If you get down to a 50-50 chance, pick one and move on. If you really want to improve your score, try that experiment I was talking to you about. And let me know how it goes in the comments below. Oh, and by the way, before you take off, subscribe. It's free. It lets me know you're there and encourages me to make more videos to teach you exactly how to pass this stupid TOEFL IBT so you can get on with living a successful life. If you need more help, click the link in the description below. I'll be there to help you and show you exactly how to get a passing score. I'll see you soon.